Hello VC, hope everybody's doing well. This is going to be a little bit different video for me today. I'm not going to be showing any new music or collections or talking about any specific artists or my usual stuff. So what I'm going to do today is actually respond to Robert Z's thread that he started a couple days ago, I guess it was, about when is enough enough? As far as our habits in collecting, and when is collecting become an obsession? When is enough? And I've listened to I think 3 or 4 different replies, and originally thought I didn't really have too much more to add to any of that, and maybe I don't. So I'm just going to kind of ramble off the top of my head. I don't know how long this video will be. Hopefully not too long. And just kind of give you my thoughts on why I have become and have been such an avid collector of music, and what my thoughts are as, when is it time to stop or slow down or purge myself and get rid of things and sell it all off, or whatever the case may be. Really difficult subject, Robert. You've definitely made a lot of people think in your initial longish video regarding the topic, and it certainly has had me thinking the last couple days, as far as, not that I haven't never thought about it before. I have to admit, being a pretty big collector, I'll just give you some perspective of, kind of the situation I'm in, and this is just a small taste of my collection. I've got lots of stuff over there, I've got, gobs of stuff over here, and, that's just going over into other areas of my house. I've just got tons and tons of music, so I do all my filming in this room because it's where I have my turntable, and this is where I work and where I do all my filming for the most part. So I am a pretty serious collector, I guess you would say, and I would consider myself a bit of a completist when it comes to specific artists, and I am one of those people that kind of, when I like somebody, I like to have everything, which can become dangerous, there's no doubt about it, because I have to admit there's many things in my collection that I haven't pulled out and listened to in a very long time. I forget sometimes what I have. I'll be in a record store and I'll see something that looks intriguing to me, and I have to ask myself, do I already have that? I'm not 100% sure a lot of the times now, because I've been at this now for, well, with CDs and cassettes, since I was a little boy. When it comes to vinyl collecting, it is a little bit more recent. I'd say in the last 5 or 6 years I got serious about it, but I was collecting certain things much earlier than that. I was collecting favorites of mine, very specific bands, very specific artists, for the better part of 15 years now, when it comes to vinyl. But I got serious about collecting vinyl about 6 years ago. And that's when I kind of had that vinyl resurgence and all that kind of stuff that we all probably went through in this group. So anyway, I guess, long story short, I have a pretty decent collection, I would say, between LPs and cassettes and CDs, which are not even in this room for the most part. I would say I'm pushing 6,000 different albums, maybe more. I am not one to catalog things. I am not one to put things in lists. I'm not one to count stuff. I'm just guessing that it's somewhere around the 6,000 range, and that's a lot, and it's a lot, and it's, I would say, borderline obsessive when it comes to having a variety. And there's just so much here that it's just impossible for me to listen to it all, and I probably will never listen to some of this stuff again, which is sad to say and sad to think about. So that's probably the number one thing on my mind, is like, when it becomes enough, when you have stuff that you probably will never get back to. And there is a lot of truth in what you said, for sure, but the one thing I keep going back to, though, is just the fact that I'm in a unique position. I'm a single guy. I'm in my late 40s. I'm 48. Still consider myself young, especially young at heart. And I feel like I've got a lot of life left in me, So I don't by no means feel like this is the end. I'm still vital and still could do many things that I would want to do. I could easily do. I could spend all the money that I spend on records doing anything else, pretty much. And what it really boils down to for me is the fact that this is what I truly love to do. I just got off a vacation, as you know, if you're a regular watcher of my channel, you knew I posted 2 or 3 videos last week because I was on vacation and wanted to kind of spend it, getting some videos out there. And during all that, I was also out digging for new music. And again, it's one of those situations where I could have done anything I wanted. I had money. I could have traveled. I could have gone somewhere. I could have, done many things. Or spent it all at the bar, or, doing whatever I wanted to do. But what it really boils down to for me is this is what I truly love. It is my passion. And this is kind of like what I consider in this room and other places in my house, my life's work. I've really spent a great portion of my life collecting music, whether it be, when CDs were the rage. I have so much that I'm very proud of. And, I don't do it to impress anybody. I don't do it for selfish reasons. I don't do it because I'm a hoarder. It's all neatly organized and it's all, very well taken care of. I do it because I truly love doing it. When you have opportunities to take the money you have to spend what you spend on records and do something else with it, and you still elect to go out and purchase music and build your collection, that I think says everything I need to say about why I do it. Because it is the number one thing I do, and it's the number one thing I enjoy. I travel for a living, so that's part of the appeal. Is every place I go, you say, well, what do you do when you're not working? You get off at 5 o'clock at night. You got from 5 to say 10, 11 o'clock at night to do whatever you want to do. It's your time. You're off the clock. Most of the time, I'm out looking for records. I'm not a social butterfly. I don't go out and meet people all the time. I've made so many wonderful friends through the Facebook community, in the vinyl community, and now on the YouTube side of things. I keep meeting new people every week. And that is kind of my social aspect of it all. And then there's just the pure fun and love that goes into collecting these records. And if you hear that, they're out cutting my grass, so sorry for the background noise. It's just, it really is, it's a very simple answer for me. It may be, I'm not trying to dismiss it as something very basic and simple, but for me, when it stops becoming fun is when I'll stop doing it. When you travel for a living and you spend all your time going out looking for records, you can't wait to get home to play them, whether it's locally or traveling or whatever the case may be. Being single, being pretty free to do whatever I want, why not? Maybe some people might watch this video and say, well, I'm irresponsible. I should be saving all that money for retirement. I'm 15, 20 years away from retirement. I should be packing all that money away for a rainy day, when I'm old and retired and I don't have the income coming in like I have now. Well, that's one way to look at it, and it is true. I wouldn't call myself irresponsible, however. I do have a 401k. I'm on a pension plan. God willing, there may be a Social Security still left in the U.S. by the time I retire, so I feel like I am setting myself up pretty well for my old age, but I'm not doing everything I could be doing. I'm not investing. I'm not saving as much as I probably could be saving. I'm not giving to charities. I'm not taking care of the poor and the needy and the things I could be doing. But I would say what keeps me going is the fact that I just truly love it. And it is my passion. Music has always been my passion. And I've said it in other videos, one of the other things that really drives it for me is if you look around this room and you see my collection, I would say a good 2/3 of it is all newer music. It's not just the oldies that I grew up with. Now I have a lot of older stuff. I'm a child of the 80s. I went to high school in the 80s, and that was kind of my glory years, I guess, if you want to call it that. So, and I do have a lot of that, but I would say a great deal of my music is new stuff, from the past 6 years, especially on vinyl. a large portion of what's in this room is new music, and I've always said in all my videos I really get off. It's, you know, I can't remember exactly what you said, Robert, but you had a really funny way of saying, you know, it turns you on the most or something about, you know, you collecting these special formats, you know, the Japanese editions and the mobile fidelity editions, and hey, that's what gets you off. What gets me off is staying current and staying up to date with music and not falling into a trap of only listening to the oldies. I love discovering new bands. I love just hearing how music evolves and changes, and you know, I take pride in the fact that I don't feel like I am my age, you know, and I think that's part of the appeal as well for me, is that you know, you could probably walk around this room and see many of the same albums that you would see in a 20-year-old's collection. And, you know, maybe you call it vanity, maybe you call it, you know, denying the obvious, or whatever you want to say, but I really do, I wouldn't buy it. Why would I buy something that I didn't want? You know, I can't say it all turns out perfectly and it's all the best stuff in my collection, but I do take risks, I take chances, I do blind buys. I hear one song and I want the entire album, because that's the way we used to do it. We used to, when I was young, I would hear a song on the radio and say, I want to know about that band, so I would just go buy the album. And that's ingrained in my head, and that's the way I hope that I will always buy music, is the fact that it's the way it was. You know, you didn't hear a whole album, you didn't have the luxury of streaming, you didn't have YouTube, you didn't have, oh, well, I like that song, so let's see how the other stuff sounds. You had to go buy it. You didn't, technology didn't exist then to have all the instant gratification that the world has now. So that's my patterns. You know, I'll hear a song I like on YouTube, or someone will post it in the vinyl community, or word of mouth, or I'm not a radio listener anymore, I just can't stand it. But I do, I'm pretty active on Spotify, so I listen to Spotify radio, and I do recommendations and stuff like that, follow certain people. I'm probably rambling. I've already gone 12 minutes, so I guess what I'm trying to say, just in summary, is the fact that, you know, maybe we worry too much. You know, when is enough enough? When I say it is. I mean, I know that sounds really, really hollow, but for me it's not enough yet, because I'm still having fun doing it. And no one is going to be able to judge that for me. I'm not ready to give up collecting. I've never once been in a record store where I've been flipping and digging and saying, what am I doing here? Why am I spending more money on music? I've got 1,000 records at home that I still have only heard once, or maybe not at all. Never crossed my mind, not even once. So for me, it really boils down to staying current, staying relevant, and keeping up with new music. I love doing that. It's a real true passion of mine. Paying homage to the stuff I loved as a teenager and as a kid. You know, I loved the Beatles and Paul McCartney and all the classic rock as a child, so that's a big part of my collection. Loved all the 80s, grew up in that. Those were my glory years. Those were the fun times of my life, so I have a lot of that. And now, you know, as a full-on adult, in, you know, past the prime of my life, I guess you could say, you know, I'm just having fun, kind of balancing between reminiscing and still being in discovery mode. So I personally hope that never changes. I hope that I can pass this collection on to somebody who will appreciate it. That's probably been the hardest thing for me, is what am I going to do with all this stuff when I'm gone? I know, like you said, Robert, you can't take it with you. You know, once you're dead and buried, that's it. You know, take your favorite record with you and slip it in your hands, maybe, if you're lucky. But that's all you're going to take with you. And the rest of it, what? I'm not going to have kids. I'm always going to be probably a single person. You know, so I don't have an exit strategy, if you will. But until recently, you know, I've met someone who's very important to me, and I hope that that person will always be important to me. And just a fantastic friend. That's all he is to me, is just an absolute brilliant friend. And another music lover, and somebody that I feel very confident that if I gave him my collection, you know, hopefully much later in life than now, he would appreciate it and pass it on to somebody who's as important to him as he is to me. So that's my exit strategy. I don't see that changing, and it is comforting to know that I do have a plan now, where some of this stuff, if not all of this stuff, will go to someone who can appreciate it, love it as much as I did, continue to explore new things and get excited about music like I have my whole life. And that helps me get through the what am I going to do with it all? I don't have kids. I don't have someone to give all this stuff to. So that person knows who he is, so I'm not going to bother mentioning it. But wonderful friend, and one of those times again where I can say thank you to the vinyl community, because without that vinyl community, I wouldn't even know this person. So it's one of those things where not only is record collecting fun and discovering new music, it's the friendships you make doing it. It's the connection I have to people in the city I live, where if I go into a store, they know me and I feel very comfortable and I can talk to them. It's like, hey, remember I bought that record last time, and what do you got like it? Because I really liked it. So it's just, I feel very, very comfortable where I'm at with my collection. I feel extremely proud of it, and I love being part of the community that we are talking about right now. So anyway, I've rambled. I'm not very good at this kind of stuff unless I have a very specific topic that I want to talk about. So it was really off the top of my head. I hope that you guys appreciated my hearing my thoughts today on when is enough enough, and I'm going to stick to the thought process that it's enough when I say it's enough. And that day will come. I'm sure it will come when I just no longer feel the passion and the need to go out and explore new music and to keep finding new stuff. But I hope I'm nowhere near that, and I hope that many of you will keep on collecting, keep on enjoying it, and don't take it all so serious. It is meant to be fun, so don't forget to have fun doing what you love doing. Alright, that's it from me today. I'll be back with a normal, a regular video this weekend, and until then, take care of yourselves and see you soon. Bye for now.